Did you know that Africa wasn't just a collection of tribes before European colonization? A vibrant tapestry of empires, kingdoms, and city-states thrived for centuries, shaping the continent and influencing global trade. We are about to explore the real African empire map. For too long, the narrative of African history has been overshadowed, focusing primarily on Egypt or portraying the rest of the continent as lacking complex civilizations. But the truth is far more fascinating. Let's journey through time and across the African continent, illuminating the often overlooked empires that left an indelible mark. Our journey begins in the land south of Egypt, in present-day Sudan, the Kingdom of Kush. Often seen as merely influenced by its northern neighbor, Kush was in fact a powerful empire in its own right. From around 1070 BCE to 350 CE, Kush developed its own distinct culture, writing system, and even ruled Egypt as its 25th dynasty. Imagine Kushite pharaohs sitting on the Egyptian throne. They built their own pyramids, distinct from those in Egypt, and became major centers of ironworking and trade. Moving westward across the Sahara, we arrive at the Ghana Empire, flourishing from around 830 CE to 1235 CE. Long before the country of Ghana existed with its current borders, this empire controlled a vast territory spanning parts of modern-day Mauritania and Mali. The Ghana Empire thrived on the trans-Saharan trade, exchanging gold, salt, and other valuable commodities with North African and Arab traders. This trade brought immense wealth and power to the Ghana kings. Next, we journey to the Mali Empire, which rose to prominence in the 13th century. Founded by Sundiata Keita around 1235 CE, the Mali Empire expanded to become one of the largest and wealthiest empires in West Africa. Its most famous ruler, Mansour Musa, made a legendary pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 CE, dazzling the world with his immense wealth and generosity. Medieval Arabic and Mediterranean sources described Mali as one of the richest states on earth. The Mali Empire became a center of Islamic learning with the city of Timbuktu attracting scholars from across the Muslim world. A successor to Mali, the Songhai Empire emerged in the 15th century, reaching its peak under Askia Muhammad I. This empire dominated the Niger River corridor and controlled a vast territory stretching across present-day Mali, Niger, and Nigeria. Songhai was one of the largest Islamic empires in history. However, its reign was brought to an abrupt end by the Moroccan invasion at the Battle of Tondeba in 1591, marking a turning point in West African history. Let's travel south to Great Zimbabwe, a civilization that flourished from around 1100 to 1450 CE. Located in present-day Zimbabwe, Great Zimbabwe was a major political and economic center. The city's most distinctive feature is its impressive stone architecture, constructed using dry stone masonry, without mortar. Great Zimbabwe was linked to the Indian Ocean trade, exchanging gold and other resources for goods from Arabia, Persia, and India. Moving westward again and closer to the Atlantic coast, we find the Congo Kingdom. Imagine around 1390 CE, the Congo Kingdom established a sophisticated political and social system. The Congo people came into contact with the Portuguese in 1483, leading to complex interactions and eventually, the devastating impact of the transatlantic slave trade. Despite these challenges, the Congo Kingdom persisted into the early 20th century. These are just a few examples of the many African empires that shaped the continent's history. From the Kingdom of Aksum in East Africa to the Oyo Empire and Benin Kingdom in West Africa, each empire had its own unique story and contributions. Understanding these empires challenges the outdated notion that Africa was a dark continent before European colonization. These empires controlled major trade systems, shaping global trade routes and economies. They developed sophisticated systems of governance, taxation, and diplomacy. They influenced religion and scholarship, becoming centers of learning and cultural exchange. It is crucial to remember that the modern borders of African countries were often drawn by European colonial powers, disregarding pre-existing cultural and political boundaries. The Berlin Conference of 1884-1885 formalized the scramble for Africa, dividing the continent among European powers and laying the foundation for many of the challenges facing African nations today. However, many modern African states draw inspiration from their imperial heritage. The nation of Mali takes its name from the Mali Empire. Zimbabwe directly references Great Zimbabwe. Ethiopia proudly celebrates the legacy of Aksum. Sudan includes the territory of ancient Kush. Nigeria encompasses the lands of Benin, Oyo, and Sokoto. These connections to the past are vital for building national identity and pride. Heritage sites like the Great Zimbabwe Ruins, the Timbuktu manuscripts, and the Pyramids of Meroe are major symbols of African sovereignty and cultural heritage. Modern debates over restitution and museums are directly tied to the history of empire and colonialism. Artifacts taken during conquest and colonial occupation remain major political issues, especially the Benin bronzes, and objects from Ethiopia, Congo, Sudan, and Egypt. African imperial history has long been minimized or distorted in Western education. A persistent narrative portrayed Africa as tribal or stateless before Europeans arrived. Colonial-era maps often ignored African political boundaries, mislabeled regions as empty or uncivilized, and centered European discovery narratives. It's time to rewrite the narrative and recognize the rich and complex history of African empires. By understanding the past, we can better understand the present and work towards a more just and equitable future for Africa and the world. These empires were not just footnotes in history, they were vital players on the world stage, shaping the course of human civilization. Their stories deserve to be told, and their legacies deserve to be celebrated.